to talk about something very tragic that happened to me and my family. My oldest son, Max, was celebrating his 25th birthday, and he died of fentanyl poisoning. July 14th, my son's birthday. We called our baby at midnight, as was standard in our family if we're not going to be together. We got to sing to him. We made him laugh. We got to talk about what his plans. James and I, Max's stepdad, were watching a movie. We got a call from our local police department and heard the most horrible thing that any parent could ever hear. They told me that my son was dead. And what are you talking about? We spoke to him. It's a mistaken identity. They have the wrong person. Yeah. Unfortunately, the absolutely worst nightmare was thrust upon us. And it's not even a nightmare because you get to wake up from a nightmare. He was found with Xanax and marijuana. And Xanax, if you're familiar with it, it's an anti-anxiety medication. I know it wasn't prescribed by our doctor, and the police identified it as counterfeit, and it was tested, and it was pure fentanyl. Now, when it comes to our work, your Zen parenting work, and why we know Shefali, a lot of it on understanding trauma as domestic violence survivors. I know why my son took Xanax on his birthday, because a lot of our abuse happened on our birthdays or holidays. What I've learned in this baptism by fire is that China has created a synthetic opioid, this fentanyl, this one that we're dealing with now, the synthetic opioid, has been created with pill press machines. They also created these machines that you can imitate Adderall, you can imitate Percocet, you can imitate Xanax, any over-the-counter legal prescription pills. These pill presses are now able to duplicate and make it look exactly the prescription pills, and they're adding fentanyl to it.
First of all, I'm so sorry for your loss. And I imagine it does not get any easier when you tell that story. And I so appreciate your courage because it's helping other parents understand this better.
My pleasure.
So first, want to say that. Does the fake pill maker try to make the effects feel like Xanax too? Are they interested in trying to give whoever receives it the same thing that Xanax does to the human body? And then they add, like,
yeah. Is this just a financial thing, Patrice? Like the putting fentanyl instead of Xanax, or are they really thinking that they're trying to come up with some basically the exact same effects as Xanax, but different makeup? Yeah.
So those are great questions. And what we know for sure is these are lethal doses of fentanyl. So what typically used to be the opioid crisis, and I'm talking pre-fentanyl crisis, the opioid crisis, fentanyl could be used very obscurely in the background. And if you're someone who's addicted to drugs, fentanyl may come into play in that journey, that really hard journey of opioid addiction. But what we're seeing over the past 10 years, first of all, I want you to imagine how little it takes for you to overdose on fentanyl. The Department of Justice has on their website, and I would recommend every parent go on, Drug Enforcement Agency has images of the very tip of a pencil, the very tip, and this is a pen, but the very, very tip could be 3 milligrams of fentanyl, and that will kill you. So why we're dealing now with an epidemic that drug dealers are not introducing fentanyl to hook people. They're actually introducing something that's killing people. So that there's a whole other theory, and it's my theory, and maybe there are a lot of other people that are working in the Drug Enforcement Agency that share this theory, but I think it's an undeclared war in the United States.
Okay. So you think that, let's say in this case, China, they are deliberately putting enough in there not to make sure that Max and other people keep taking this, but perhaps to just kill.
Absolutely. And the drug cartels in Mexico, one of the things when we talk about this crisis, you can get a little fuzzy and get political. And fentanyl has come to the United States through the Mexican border, through the drug cartels, through air, through land, through sea, and through the United States Postal Service.
Mm-hmm.
So it is here, it is everywhere, and our young people are targeted. And if you're familiar with Dr. Laura Berman,
yeah,
so very famous sex therapist, and she's been on Oprah as well, and her 16-year-old. So they're all home. Her husband, Sam, their 3 children, a drug dealer reached out to him on Snapchat. So that's really important for parents to know, because I wouldn't think that a drug dealer can reach my kids on Snapchat, but that's exactly how they're reaching them. And so now he can slide into any one of our kids that are in Sammy's Snapchat friend group.
Yeah.
And he reached out to Sammy and offered him a whole list. You can buy one pill, any kind of pill. You want Adderall, you want Percocet, you want to try this, you want to try that, whatever. So he bought something. And while Dr. Laura was sleeping and her husband were sleeping and the kids were sleeping, Sammy went outside their house and met a perfect stranger on their lawn. And the tragedy is they lost their 16-year-old, and having to discover your baby is horrific. And so what we know is this isn't a fentanyl overdose. This is fentanyl poisoning.
Right.
Can you explain the difference between that? Because some people are like, oh, this person OD'd on fentanyl. Max had no interest in fentanyl whatsoever. Max had interest in getting
taking a
cheap
Xanax.
Correct.
And in doing that, he died because there was fentanyl in it. But there's some people that get addicted to fentanyl. Is that what happens?
Absolutely. Yes. So heroin users, people that are suffering with addiction, can be led to fentanyl. And so that small amount that killed my son and killed Dr. Laura Berman's son probably wouldn't have killed an active addict.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
How do
But what they're targeting now are young people, and it's been found in marijuana. So marijuana not bought at a dispensary is being sprinkled with fentanyl. Any kind of recreational drug. And I'm going to give you an example. I'm so grateful to have this opportunity to talk to you and reach parents, because I wish I had this knowledge. Maybe my son would still be here. But what I've learned on this journey, for 9 months, I was in bed. Like I daily thoughts of killing myself. And it's that trauma response.
Yeah.
So that adrenaline was going 24/7 and I couldn't shut it off. So I'm delirious. I'm in agony. I'm grieving. I'm just a mere shell of the person that I was. And one day it just came to me, because I'm reading now, I'm getting more and more information about young people and what's happening to them. And so I started paying attention, and I started logging in to get news stories on fentanyl and local stories and national stories, and just trying to figure out what's going on. So I wasn't sleeping. So I was doing a lot of reading and research. And what I started to realize is I can't take my life right now, because my family needs me, my kids need me, but I got to do something about this. I have to do something about this. And what's the one thing I could do? I can write legislation, because I know in the state of New Jersey, where I'm from, we're not getting fentanyl poisoning education in our schools. So how do I kickstart this? And honestly, by the grace of God and the universe and all that's good, I was able to contact my local senator and her chief of staff, who were incredible. And the bill that we wrote, and it's the beginning. So just remember, this is the beginning. I had to get it through really quickly before the session closed last June, was declaring my son's birthday, which is the same day that he left us, as Fentanyl Poisoning Awareness Day for the state of New Jersey. And I share this with you because any parent in any state that's grieving any sibling, anybody, can also get this introduced in their state.
Yeah.
We have to start with educating the public on what we're dealing with. And the only way we're going to do that is through education. And by the grace of God, not only did we get bipartisan support, unanimous support, we got it through both houses in 25 days.
Wow.
It's like unprecedented. And the governor signed our bill on Max's birthday, July 14th, 2023.
Patrice, you and I talked about this last time we talked, and you just said this, but I'm going to repeat this because I know families who have lost children or friends of the family who, because everyone's affected, as we discussed. Like you were talking about neighbors everyone is affected by this loss. You were saying that if somebody wanted to take this up in whatever state they live in, that
Yes.
they could contact you and basically use what you created as a template.
She's blazed the trail.
Yeah. So
it's so important to find out what is being done in your state.
Yeah.
Oftentimes there isn't going to be anything that has begun, unfortunately, but then piggyback off of other states that have some type of legislation that was introduced. So Max's bill, it's called NJ, if anyone wants to Google it, SJR 128 is the bill number.
128.
And that's in New Jersey. And that bill declares my son's birthday as Fentanyl Poisoning Awareness Day and honors all the other lives that were lost in our state by this epidemic. And that's the beginning. The second legislation I'm working on right now is introducing fentanyl poisoning education in our school systems from 6th grade through 12th grade. Now, this is not an assembly.
Right.
This is going to be continual education throughout the school year, age appropriate, on what fentanyl is,